Hey Sophie, how are you? Hope all is well. I just wanted to kind of shoot this quick video so you kind of get the overall understanding of the SOW. Watch this video so you'll kind of get, the deep dive on all the equipments that I've listed out on the proposal, and you'll have a good understanding of the overall approach that I'm applying to your office, okay? So basically right now you have Verizon files coming into your office. Basically, there's something called an ONT, like that device that's feeding your white Fios router, and that essentially is your network, right? So Verizon has access to both those devices. In a case of a service, login, maintenance, etc., they come in and they can do anything they want to those. That's their hardware. So the idea is that since you have an office now, you want to basically standardize your network and separate it from your ISP hardware, right? Their hardware should only be a portal to your office, and then your own infrastructure manages whatever services you need. So basically what we want to do is we want to take that Verizon fiber feed, bring it to your rack. So you would have some type of rack like this. Now this is my Camcrest rack. This is obviously much bigger than what you need. So imagine like literally half of this. But basically you need some type of metal rack that's going to sit in your basement. Your internet feed is going to come. You're going to basically have something called a router. Basically this, your internet feed comes into it. It creates its own network. We have our own credentials and everything. And this is basically the boss of your network. Nobody can externally log into it. It's the one that has its own firewall and basically separates your outside WAN from your internal local LAN, okay? So that's step one. That's your router. Gives you that firewall, your full network topology. Then step two is your Ethernet switch. So that little black 5-port switch that you have, that's not obviously robust enough to run a full network. It's a small desktop switch where you need an extra wire here or there. So basically you don't need, this is a 48-port switch. This is obviously much bigger than what you need, but like a 16-port switch is something a little bit more robust. And then all those wires that are coming into your basement, they plug into this switch, so you have hardwire. Now the switch that we buy is not only a gigabit switch, but it also does juice power over the line. So like when we mount your access points or your cameras throughout the house, they get juice and data from that one wire. This switch will be capable of doing that. So you can essentially plug in, you can get voice over IP phones, your access points, your cameras, any PoE device, power over Ethernet, that's what it's called. So step two is adding the switch. That will kind of manage all your wiring aspects of things. Then the next thing is we would add a controller. So basically you have access points for your property size. This is kind of the access point. Right now you just have that one Verizon thing in your basement. That would go away. We would have like a left and right. So maybe you would put one in your basement that's kind of structured underneath your office, and then we would put one towards the front of the building, like by the street, the windows, and that would cover the front side of the building. So 2 access points would more than enough cover your entire building. I don't think you need more than that. Right now you have 1 and you're not really having wireless issues, and I just want to kind of put 2 so the whole footprint is properly covered. Okay, so basically you get your network set up, you get your hardwire set up, you get your controller set up, and you get your access points positioned. So now your hardwire network topology is done, your wireless aspect is done. Then the next thing we add is something called a UPS. So basically this is a uninterrupted power supply. Power goes out, power surge, etc. This is basically going to run, all the devices go into this thing first. So if there's a lightning strike or something, this thing would blow out first before it hits your equipment. Keep in mind, this is the Synology. This also connects to this thing. So let's say, your power goes out. It will actually tell the Synology, hey, I have no more power. I have 10 minutes remaining on my battery. Whatever data writes you're doing, shut yourself down, stop writing. So, like when you have a computer and you pull the hard drive while it's on, you can get data errors. So that's what you're trying to avoid. So the UPS will be USB connected to the Synology, where they can communicate, and the Synology would actually know that power is out and I'm going to go into a shutdown scenario. So that's basically your power management, and really one UPS will do the whole rack. So your camera system will be protected, all your network hardware will be protected, and then obviously your Synology will be protected. All right, so that's basically your rack. We would provide you a little black rack that would sit on the floor. We would kind of mount all this stuff in it. All that cabling, if you visualize where the white router sits in your basement, to the right of it, there's like the old phone system garbage. We're gonna rip all that out and that cabling, if I can use that anywhere else for something, I will reuse it. But basically in that area, I'm thinking we would position that white rack. We would move all those Ethernet cables out where you have the monitor set up, and basically put it into the rack, put a little monitor on top. It would be one clean, concise setup, something similar to this in the corner. All your equipment would basically be housed in it. Now, just to kind of give you an example of what a Synology is, this is how it looks. So this is a 6-bay Synology, and a 5-bay Synology, and you can insert 5 hard drives in it. So this is basically the exact thing that you're looking for. I have used pretty much materials of all of these things, routers, switches, Synologies, hard drives, racks. So in the proposal, I'm going to give you 2 scenarios. One is like everything brand spanking new, and then everything that I can give you out of inventory to kind of save you some money, okay? But basically, 5-bay Synology, we're going to put 2 hard drives in it, 2 terabits each. They'll mirror each other, so if one fails, you'll have a live, redundant backup of the other. And then tomorrow, if you need more space, you can buy like a 10 terabit, 20 terabit, and basically you have 3 bays to expand, okay? So that's basically more than enough from a storage standpoint. You're not paying anything monthly. It's locally sitting in your, office. Keep in mind, any cloud services, you're a lawyer. If you get sued or there's some legal situation, they can basically, get your data from Dropbox, Microsoft's, them essentially, and pull your data. In this situation, this is essentially a private cloud, so nobody can essentially get your data. It's like a black box sitting in your office. You pull the black box, you have your data physically. Okay, so that's why a lot of people want this, and a lot of law firms also want this because of the cloud. They're not comfortable with the data being in the cloud, so it really depends on what your security needs are. But I think from a privacy standpoint, not having the monthly fee and not spending a fortune, this is more than reasonable enough. So now, just to kind of give you an idea of what the Synology is, so here I have camcrest.net. I have my domain. I log in. This is SSL secured. So any type of, when you go on a website, Amazon, and you have the little credit card lock there, same exact principle. The idea is that, any type of remote traffic that you do to the site, app-wise or web-based wise, is basically encrypted, okay? So basically we create our users. Let me just log into this thing. So you'll have basically your own login. Your Synology will be a little bit different because this is a little bit higher end Synology, but basically the gist is pretty much the same. So here you see how I created all my users, and then here I have all my shared folders. So basically I give people, each user, access to whatever folders I want. So again, you could have your private folder, you could have a generic sales folder. If you bring on another attorney, you could have a client's folder, a share, vice versa. So all those privileges type of stuff and how you want to organize your data would really happen here. And then basically now on your network, you have these shared drives that exist with these users that have permission. So when you go to the website, you saw me log in with Amit. Basically, I'm logging in with my credentials. I have this web interface. I can click on File Station, click on my data. Let's say I want this file, right click download, just like Dropbox online login, right? Now, we're in the one Firefly folder. So now I'm gonna show you, basically there's an app called DS Files. So again, this is the one Firefly folder, and then whatever data I have in here, I have on my phone. I can turn around and share this data and move it on from a physical mobile standpoint. So a lot of attorneys, we do this for them when they go to court. They whip out their iPad, they're gonna pull their PDFs, etc., whatever documents they have. They can do all their document management remotely. Then the other biggest thing is that locally on your network, when you're working in your office, sorry, I have a million things open on this server right now. Give me 1 second. So here, you see that one Firefly folder, and boom, again, it's like a network drive. So all your computers in your office, like for example, the iMac that you're getting, your laptop, etc., whatever you have, will basically be mapped to this locally from a shared drive standpoint. Then you got your app, Android, all your mobile devices, and then obviously you got your web interface. You can go any worldwide, just as long as you have internet, boom, you have web access to your own link. So we basically You can buy your own domain. I don't know if you have your own domain for your law firm, but I can just give you like sophie.campcrest.net. I can create a subdomain, so you don't have to pay for the certificate, but it'll be basically SSL secured. And that's pretty much it. That will kind of give you a basic infrastructure of your office. You know, you'll get the hardwired aspect, your networking, your firewall, that whole situation created. Your Wi-Fi will be properly covered on the property. And then we'll get your Synology set up. Whatever your total data is, you know, just kind of consolidate it onto a USB of some sort. Have that ready when we do the implementation. Tell me your users. I'll get all that data dumped in and organize permissions, etc. And then you can kind of start using the system and populating it and managing it going forward. As far as installation, honestly, this would take probably, you know, a day and a half, 2 guys. Remember, they have to program everything, install everything, go through the whole process. So the way I want to save you some money is, you know, I don't need to pay my guys to program. So what I'll probably do is I'll bang out the Synology programming. I'll get the router programming, all the devices that I can internally program at the shop. I'll get all that done for you. Give my guys the hardware. I'll send 2 guys to your office. I'm pretty sure within half a day, if everything is programmed, 2 guys can simply clean up, install, get it running, test, and go for it. So within half a day to 3/4 of a day, you know, paid labor-wise, that's the only thing you really have to pay for is the guys that I sent to do the physical work. All the programming type work, I'll try to do that for you. So this way, you know, it'll bring your labor costs down. And I gave you 2 scenarios, basically all of this stuff used. So you're not paying, you know, because remember, if you buy a brand new iMac, you buy a brand new Synology, these are like $1,500, $2,000 items. Right there, you're basically $4,000 in the hole and counting. So I gave you a full new scenario and I gave you a used scenario. This is the iMac that I have in stock. This is the customer's iMac, and this customer is actually going to be upgrading this iMac. It's a 3 to 4 year old unit, I believe, but again, for what you need, SSD, you know, 27-inch display, this is more than enough, 16 gigs of RAM. So I think, you know, something like this for a couple $100 is more efficient for you. And tomorrow, if you hire somebody, a receptionist or somebody with a lower end, you can always transfer to them and get yourself a new computer. So it's up to you. If you want new grade, you have that price, and if you want the cheaper aspect of it to save some money, then you have that. Labor-wise, either scenario, pretty much the same for me. You know, obviously the newer stuff is a little bit easier because I don't have to, you know, reset, reprogram, and all that. It's just plug it and go like it's brand new. So it's a little bit more efficient. But again, you know, at the end of the day, the physical aspect, the labor that you're paying for is pretty much the same. So kind of digest this information, look through the proposal, figure out if it matches your requirements, if I missed anything, and let me know what you think, and then we can kind of fine tune it and we'll have a game plan. All right, thank you, and let me know if you need anything else.